Capitol Hill takeover explained.
Just took a little bit of a break, just trying to process everything that's happening in our country, and watched a little bit of cable news, and obviously we saw what happened in the U.S. Congress today. And
No.
I don't support physical violence or resorting to that, but what I also want to take some time to talk about, which I think is very important as we're welcoming people into the stream here, is why is this happening? I was watching a certain congressman, who I won't name, a former congressman, who 5 or 6 times on television right now, he just said, I'm so surprised to see this. I'm so stunned to see this.
Okay, I feel like he's about to give the same exact answer as Crystal Ball and Sagar did.
You can be saddened to see it, like I am. But if you're surprised that you're seeing this, then you have done an awful job governing and legislating. This should not be a surprise to anyone that actually understands what is happening in this country.
He's gonna do it.
This is beyond politics at this moment. This is beyond Republican and Democrat. This is a multi-institutional problem that is happening in America. So I want to get into this as we lead. We're waiting for the president of the Senate, the vice president.
If he was on the show with Crystal Ball, she would agree with him 100%.
President to reconvene the session. As we promised you, we're going to be covering this live tonight, and we covered it all throughout the day. What drove those people to scale the walls of Congress today, of which I don't support? But why did they do that?
Because they feel sad because the country's falling apart and, white males are being left behind right now by the system. Nope, that's not the answer. But who would agree with him? I know he's about to say that. But who would agree with him? Crystal, Kyle, Jimmy Dore, maybe Kyle Kalinske, I think. But yeah, Sagar.
Sloppy and the lazy analysis that is being given is because President Trump told them to do that. That's wrong. That's not true. First of all, he didn't tell them to do that. But that's a simpleton argument.
Simpleton.
They did that because they don't trust their system.
Yep,
That's
exactly.
Why.
Same exact answer.
I just heard Jonathan Turley on Fox News, who I think is a very smart guy, and he said, how could these people not trust their system? What's gotten into them? What's gotten into them? They watch the news. The last year, we have seen BLM Incorporated rioters burn down the cities of our country with very little to any of arrests happen. We saw Antifa go after conservatives and kill a conservative in the street of Portland. We saw the Russia hoax and 0 people be held accountable to it. From Peter Strzok to Lisa Page to Brennan to Clapper. We saw
really? Because I saw people marching on the Capitol saying their country is being stolen, holding Nazi and Confederate flags, wearing sweatshirts that say Auschwitz camp on it. They wanted to overthrow a democratic election. And they said they need to protect their leader, Donald Trump, who they thought, by the way, they actually interviewed some people who they arrested. They thought Donald Trump was giving them orders. They thought Donald Trump was giving them commands into battle for their country. That one crazy congresswoman from Colorado tweeted, she tweeted out 1776, saying January 6th is going to be the new American Revolution.
This entire voter fraud nonsense unfold. We saw the Ukrainian impeachment hoax earlier in the year. Hillary has never been
Boebert.
Even close to being indicted for what she did from the Clinton Foundation or from Uranium One. How about Hunter Biden? You think Hunter Biden's ever going to serve serious time in jail? How about the lockdowns?
So he's not going to talk about...
I don't trust any institution that exists anymore
about
in our
the
country,
lockdowns.
And you shouldn't either. I don't trust many of our leaders that legislate. I don't trust our corporations. I don't trust our universities. And I don't trust the media. Now, that's not to say that violence is justified. That's not the point. The point is that if you lazily and sloppily slap a label onto these people and say, oh, they're insurrectionists, like, hold on a second. Get a little bit deeper and a little bit more nuanced of what's happening in our country right now. What drives them?
And how does Charlie Kirk want to fix this exactly?
They don't trust their system is what is driving them. And you might say,
system,
oh, they're
of course
not informed. They haven't lived through life before. The fact that our leaders and these congressional leaders that I've been watching on television over the last couple hours as we took our break are surprised and stunned this has happened.
Okay, I agree, comma splice. But the thing is, Crystal feeds into the exact same mentality, and she verifies this reasoning too, because when Sagar brings up points like this, she doesn't fire back. And she did say, she did both sidesism. She said, Donald Trump did play a role. I know Charlie Kirk isn't going to say that part. Kirk is not going to say Trump played a role at all. He's going to blame it entirely on the system. But what Crystal effectively does is, she serves as a progressive who is going to say, She serves as a progressive who is going to say, you know what, I agree, the system is at fault. Both sides it, and take away from what Trump is truly doing. They are both taking away from what Trump is truly doing, but you can argue that Crystal is doing a worse job for us because she's doing it from the inside of progressivism. She's saying, I'm a progressive, and I do blame the systems more than I blame Trump. Or, it's equal, both sidesism.
That they would come after them in the Capitol, and I'm not saying I support it. In fact, I don't. I just went through an entire live stream saying I don't support it. But none of this actually surprises me at all, because I actually spend time with the people that are always described as, well, Trump's base, as if it's just this kind of zoo animal that you look in through the window. And now walking through the wild is Trump's base. And now we're going to cut live to Charlie Kirk to explain Trump's base for us, as if it's some form of a science experiment for a grad student at Princeton to figure out Trump's base. Well, let me tell you what drives Trump's base. Number one, love of their country.
Is that why the people who stormed the Capitol beat a cop to death, literally with an American flag? I don't know if anybody saw that video, but they did. They were saying F cops, F the blue, yep.
Number two, the reason they've been so motivated is because Trump couldn't be bought. He said things other politicians didn't say. His style was...
Trump couldn't be bought. Trump could not be bought, but he gave the largest tax cut to the wealthy in American history and cut regulations for every businessman. They don't need to buy him. He gives it all away.
Actually attractive to them. He demonstrated real results for forgotten men and women. He talked about immigration. He talked about corporate tyranny and dominance. And because of that, he was incredibly popular. He talked about trade. He talked about ending endless wars, and he acted on that.
For these reasons, you can say this is why Trump won the election. But it's not why there is this group in the country. And you can say, Trump winning the election gave him the platform to now do this. I would say, yes, I agree with that argument. But when it comes to after Donald Trump is already elected, this conversation ends. It's completely him, and white nationalism.
And he pushed back against this multi-institutional rot that existed in our country.
Yep, he pushed back against the rot, dude, by doing nothing.
In our media. The rot
and also, too, material conditions for people did not improve whatsoever. It's all culture war. If it was always about class struggle or whatever, working class, they wouldn't be doing this. They wouldn't be standing up for Trump because they would know what the deal is. But they're literally in a cult now. They are, irredeemable in a sense where they cannot have their minds changed. And this isn't regular Trump supporters, by the way. But the people who would even think about doing this are not going to be de-radicalized at this point. But Crystal Ball in the same room probably would say, you know what? You have it half right. I do agree with you. The systems is at play, but Donald Trump did do something too.
Existed
she
in
would
social
like both
media,
sides.
The rot that existed in academia, the rot that existed through every major power institution in our country. Here's a question
Cuba
I have for you, and for our leaders that are so surprised this is happening. Again, you can be outraged and saddened. I am. But don't act all surprised, person in ivory tower in the Hunger Games capital, because you don't actually understand the country that you represent then, if you're surprised over this.
Oh, I understand it.
Why do we have elections?
Why?
The sloppy answer given by most people on cable television is we have elections to elect our leaders. That's not incorrect, but it is incomplete.
Okay.
We have elections so that we don't go to war.
Oh, yeah.
We have elections to prevent what happened today. That's why we have elections. And when you don't have an election, like we had in November, where you're changing the rules, you're moving the goalposts, you're unconstitutionally...
So he's saying we need violence, essentially.
...changing measures, you're not allowing ballots to be counted correctly, and signature verification measures are changed. The most interfered election we've ever had. Don't be shocked.
Not true.
When all of a sudden people start scaling walls.
Donald Trump lost 64 lawsuits in this election. That is a new record for lawsuits lost during a presidential election. But yeah, boiling it down to this is so dumb. It's really amazing.
Because that's why you have them.
So Charlie Kirk says, there are systemic issues. Of course people are going to be violent. An election was stolen. Of course people are going to be violent. By the way, violence isn't the answer. But, if you don't fix these issues, then, when violence happens, you can't be mad about it. Yep, okay.
You have them, and then if you lose, and you lose fairly, all of a sudden, you kind of say, our argument wasn't good enough, our candidate wasn't there, whatever. But when you feel something is stolen from you, yeah, you're going to be a little outraged.
And the worst thing is, too, you can't disprove anything that's fake. You know what I mean? How are you going to argue with somebody about a conspiracy that simply isn't real? Like, if someone brings up to me, like, there was a Dominion voter machine hacked somewhere, all I can say is it's fake, and here's proof that it's fake. I can't argue with them on the same wavelength. Like, how do I de-radicalize that? I mean, I really don't know. These people are so ingrained in the social media feed, and now they're on this news site. What is it called? It's with a G. It's picking up after Parler being banned. It's like Grupp or something.
How do you deal with anger in life?
His face is shrinking.
What is the best way to deal
How do
with
you deal with
management?
anger? You
know
lash
anyone
out
that is
and
very
overthrow
angry,
your
especially if
country.
they're righteously angry.
You overthrow your
Probably
government.
the worst thing to tell them is the reason you're angry is a lie. Probably.
It is a lie. It is. I mean,
if you've ever dealt with people that are angry,
and
the
you're lying
best thing to
them
do is let them get it out of their system. Let them cool off a little bit.
by
How do you do that?
overthrowing
Let
the
'em
government.
talk.
Let them
Well,
talk.
you can't talk about this stuff on digital or social media. You get kicked off. President Trump has now been banned from Twitter for 12
but
hours.
you can't just lie.
You can't talk about it to your neighbors and friends. First of all, you're not allowed to leave your home
Yeah, you
in those
can.
cities across
You
the
can.
country.
No, you can leave your home. America never had a true lockdown. This is another hyperbolic thing too. You know, conservatives always make it seem like a big war is happening. You have to be scared. You have to be really scared. Be freaked out. There's a lockdown right now. In reality, America only shut down 45% of our economy at the peak of the lockdown or whatever. We never had any type of lockdown. You could do whatever the hell you want.
Second of all, you're not even allowed to talk about this at all. So what happens is you don't trust the institutions, you don't trust the politicians, you don't trust the way that we elect our politicians, and then you're told by your leaders, you're an idiot, you're a bad person.
Yes.
That's eventually going to manifest into something. And I don't support that.
And I don't
Now when I'm
support that.
explaining, not supporting. You see there's a big difference between explanation and supporting? I'm going to say something that no one else is going to say. The leaders that had to go into shelter in place, they created this.
Oh,
If
okay.
they were transparent and didn't pass multi-trillion-dollar omnibus bills in the middle of the night that no one read, people would trust their leaders.
That Trump supported?
If they didn't amount $26 trillion of debt, people would trust their leaders. If they didn't go declare war on every single sovereign foreign country
Wait. Donald Trump increased the debt more than any president in American history.
that comes across their radar, people would trust their leaders. If they didn't spy on an incoming president, people would trust their leaders.
They did.
So what happened today was what we call a boiling point. It's when it all comes together. And somebody died today because of that, tragically. So now what's
Dang.
going to happen is this.
The libs
Is that the
did
way
it.
people are going to describe what happened today in Congress, which I don't support because that is the way that you settle differences in Central America, is going to be described incorrectly as pointing the finger at them. You're the problem, you're the problem. Okay, I get that. I hope the people that broke the windows and stomped the doors and all that, I hope they're arrested and I hope that they're taken fully through the law. But maybe for a second, these leaders that are so quick to condemn their constituents and their citizens, they should ask themselves, why in God's green earth would people with American flags storm the Capitol for the first time since 1814?
Nazi flags? Wait, swastikas? And Confederate flags wearing Auschwitz camp shirts.
Why would they do that?
I don't know.
The lazy reason is they're
having
under
white
some
power.
sort of spell from
Saying the
President
N-word.
Trump. No, they're not.
And beating up cops.
They were
Why?
angry before Trump. Trump just gave them what?
I mean,
a
true.
pressure release valve.
No, Trump gave them a voice. Trump gave them their fighter.
There is a crisis of
In the
faith
worst
happening in
way.
this country. And let me cue you in, like
He's
kind
their
of clue you in on
monster
this.
bigot.
This has not reached its apex, okay?
Oh no, we're not
This
there yet.
today is one part of the chapter. Now, I am going to be a consistent voice to solve differences using speech,
Speech, rhetoric,
words,
words,
communication,
dialogue.
You know why? Because I don't want
Why?
to see more body bags of American patriots have to be carried out of
So you're
US
gonna
Congress. What
encourage
happened today?
violence anyway.
A woman died. That's where these things lead.
How does he
But if
sleep
you
at
really
night?
want to see how out of touch our leaders are, go look at their shock and awe that's about to happen throughout this next Congress. I can't believe this has happened. This is not America. Well, first of all, did you see our country over the summer when BLM Incorporated burned down our whole country?
It's the whole
And some
country
of these
now.
people that
It's not
stormed
even
Congress
cities
today,
anymore.
some of them used this flawed an incorrect way to make a decision. Let me say this again. Flawed and incorrect way to make a decision. They saw the left demonstrate and riot, and they got what they wanted. And they thought to themselves, what if I demonstrate and riot? Can we get what we wanted?
What?
Flawed and incorrect way of looking at things.
Get what you wanted?
If you're like me, there's not a single institution that you trust left in our country.
Okay, so people often ask me, how do you stop like riots for BLM? And I'm like, hey, fix systemic injustice, fix policing, heal, our country's history in some sense. That'll help quell the riots. Listen to people. If a white guy kills a black guy, maybe actually arrest him. Then they say, wait, then how do you stop these people from rioting? And the only answer to stop these people is the truth, is to somehow make them see that they are delusional. But there's no other way to stop them because, well, other than government and military and the state cracking down on them. But there's no way to stop them because there is no solution to what they want. Because no matter what they want goes against reality. It's fake. So
today was, for those of us that have been really talking to people and following trends, not shocking in the least. We actually feared this. We had a team meeting last evening after the Georgia Senate runoffs, and I said to myself, we said to our team, this is not going to end well because people, patriotic Americans that love their country,
patriotic Americans
are not allowed to talk to their neighbors. They see their kids being taught to hate the country.
Is patriotic
they can't talk on social
code
media.
for racist
And the
now?
one person that was fighting for them, they believe, and I think correctly, that the election was taken from him.
Not correctly, but this is where you get patriotism, I think, still has a positive connotation. The issue is most Americans use it to, when they're actually talking about nationalism. Nationalism is terrible. It leads to authoritarianism and fascism. But patriotism can be a relatively good thing, I think.
So then what do we have left? That's what a lot of people are emailing us. Well, what can we do? Well, that's what today was supposed to be all about, and it still is.
Well, yeah, now patriot is dog whistle for white supremacist now.
And we're about to go back into the congressional feed as we monitor that, as at any moment now, Congress will reconvene.
This is like Trump.
So if you don't trust your leaders and you don't
inciting
trust your
violence.
institutions, what next? Well, I can tell you right now, they control the institutions. So what happened today?
Who's they?
Not good.
Oh,
It sets back the argument that we have been making quite a lot. And some people are saying, well, this is going to be a real wake-up call to the senators and congressmen. No, it's not. They're going to feel more emboldened to marginalize the complaints, the good complaints from the Trump movement and the Make America Great Again movement because of the criminal activity from some people in Congress today.
Wait, criminal by the people in
So
Congress?
how do you deal with people that are angry? Because half the country is really upset right now. First of all, you let them talk. We haven't allowed that to happen.
Oh, you
That's
need
what
a little
today was
safe
supposed to be.
space. You can live in your
Second
little
of all,
alternate,
you answer
alternate
their
reality.
questions, which they have not done. The left has not answered any of these questions. And the third thing is this. You treat them like you actually care, that you don't want them to be angry any longer.
You gotta be nice to them. Give them a little safe space to talk about their feelings. They gotta cry a little bit. Be nice to them, guys.
The way that I have seen congressional leadership respond to this has been so unbelievably disappointing. It goes to show that they hang around lobbyists,
Behave
media
like
members,
what?
and other congressional
Counting
members,
votes?
and not people that over Christmas are banging the table saying, I'm not going to let this happen. Because you know what? There's tens of millions of people that did that the last couple weeks.
Notice how he started this whole thing with talking about systemic issues and how that leads to the current point. But he hasn't brought it up since. Since he primed the entire argument. Now he's all going just for election conspiracy and the vague they that owns the entire society and owns all the institutions that he doesn't trust.
That when I travel the country, I have to calm people down and tell them this is not who we are when they're talking about all the tactical gear they just bought. Because it's not. And for these congressional members that think as if they're immune from criticism, that's the exact opposite reaction to that.
Charlie Kirk might. Oh, yes. My favorite.